How's it going, everyone? Maryland here, and that's right, it's time for more of the Wedlocke training question and answer video thingy. Yeah, I know last time I didn't do any questions, just wasn't really feeling up for it, but this time I think I'll answer a few that were made in previous of these training episode montage things. So yeah. Alright, first one up, we have Budster S. Could you explain the story of your ex-Wedlocke through your eyes, like how you see the story unfold? Well, I could, but it's more or less how you're seeing it. And one of the things that makes the Wedlocke that I do, or the ex-Wedlocke, and actually any of the Wedlocks I do, so interesting is simply the fact that everyone kind of sees it a little differently. They all kind of develop their own headcanons for things and different characters and personalities, and it's really cool. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that I've seen people kind of suggest or say, and, you know, I kind of go with that. It makes sense. It's neat. But I don't really like to have everything so finite. Like, it's this way and that's it. I like to be open-minded to what other people are kind of thinking is happening during the series. Alright, Indigo Azai asks, think you could put these ex-Wedlocke training Q&As into a playlist that makes them a lot easier to find and watch. It's actually a good idea. I think now that I'll have 3 Q&A training episode thingies, that would definitely make sense. So I'll look into doing that. Maybe I'll wait until the next one. We'll have to see, but that's not a bad idea. Lightning Spirit asks, what was the first Nuzlocke you ever did? I don't mean on YouTube, I mean overall, unless Emerald was your first attempt at a Nuzlocke. Let me think. I'm thinking very carefully. I know the 2 that I did before starting the Emerald Nuzlocke, and even the Black Wedlocke that I kind of mentioned before the YouTube version. There was one I did on Ruby, where I ended up finding a shiny Whismur, which was kind of funny. And then there was one on Heart Gold that I did with a friend. I don't remember which one I did first. I think I did the Heart Gold one with the friend because we were driving down to St. Louis and we wanted to do something to pass the time, and we were both passengers. He wasn't driving and playing. So we did kind of like a little mini versus, and we didn't get very far. I think he ended up wiping to the rival in Azalea Town, but yeah, it's one of those 2. I know that much for sure. No, I never did end up completing them because I needed the versions for different purposes. Alright, Black Prox asks, I've never done a Nuzlocke and I'm thinking about doing one. What rules do you suggest I apply? Well, if you've never done a Nuzlocke and you're thinking of doing one, honestly, I recommend play it just without any special rules or anything like that. Maybe add dupes clause. That does make things a little bit more diverse, and I think it makes it a little bit more fun. To keep it simple, you can just go by if you see the little caught icon when you're playing a game, when you're trying to catch a Pokemon or not. That can just determine dupes. That way you don't have to remember, oh, did I have this or not? Item limits are nice, but I wouldn't really recommend them if you're just starting. Go ahead and use that to your advantage. Maybe try to keep it so you don't like really over level, but it's also not the end of the world if you do. Although, I'll warn you, if you are playing on a Generation 6 game, I would strongly recommend turn on the experience share only when you need to train, because otherwise you'll be a way higher level than you need to be for pretty much the whole game, so I don't advise doing that. Michaela DeWitt, aka Mousekowitz, asks, how do you make your nickname lists? I personally go on Wikipedia and the like for nicknames most of the time, but it doesn't really add to the personality for me. That is what she said, not my answer, although my answer's pretty much the same. I also generally go on Wikipedia. It's funny, I look for a list of lists. Yeah, you can actually find a list of lists page on Wikipedia. In fact, I think there's even a list of lists if you're really feeling clever. I'm not 100% sure of that. I know there's something I saw that was similar to that, but yeah, there's some great lists of things there. Obviously, I don't strictly go by that. Oftentimes I'll look stuff up like on Google or independently to try to find things that fit. I also don't like to go with too obscure of names. I like to try to go with common themes. And of course, nicknames that will fit in the 10 character limit. I also like to make sure that I have about, 40 to 50 names before starting up a series. Alzora Eyes asks, hey Maryland, forgive the generic question, though I'd love to know what you would change about Pokemon games. Let's just say X and Y and ORAS for simplicity, if you could change it. For example, I absolutely hate HMs and think it's a terrible series staple they maintain when it should have been abandoned. Bonus question, what's been your favorite movie in 2015/2016? P.S. I'd love to see a Terraria challenge or just a playthrough. I'm a huge addict of that game too. Well, awesome. I love that game. It's so addictive. But okay, let's go to the first one. I really like your thought on HMs. I think that they are archaic. I think that they've been gradually moving away from them until you go back to ORAS when you need them for like everything. But Black and White 2, and X and Y actually had a lot less required usage of HMs, and that was very refreshing. I wish that they would just have it be something that you could use outside of battle that wouldn't take up a move slot. Like, you could just have Pokemon learn it, or have like a key item that does a similar thing. I think that would be great. Hopefully they'll do away with that. That's definitely my answer. And as for your bonus question, I haven't seen too many movies in the past 2 years or so, or a year and a half. I saw the Dragon Ball Z movie. I really liked Resurrection F, I think it was. I think I only saw that and Zootopia, and I actually really liked Zootopia. It was pretty good. But yeah, those are, I think, the only ones I've seen that were new in 2015 and 2016. RSN Bran asks, gotta say, nice throwback with the music. That takes me back to the days of the Emerald Nuzlocke. As for the question, would you say this challenge, and by extension the original Twitter X Wedlocke, are the hardest challenges you've ever done in Pokemon? Is there anything else more challenging that you've attempted off camera? I guess rules-wise it probably is, because a Wedlocke with no items being used in battle is pretty crazy. It's kind of weird. Okay, so I guess I have attempted a more difficult challenge, but it had substantially less deaths, so I don't really understand that. I attempted a challenge, didn't record it or anything, I was just trying it out, where I played through either X or Y, I don't remember which version, but basically I could not buy any items, I couldn't use Pokemon Centers or any optional healing points. Obviously forced ones are fine. I couldn't teach TMs unless my moves were full of that power point, or like max power points. I couldn't deposit Pokemon into the PC unless it had completely full health and completely full power points for all of its moves. And yeah, I couldn't use like pickup. It just really restricted things. I could use items in battle, that was fine, but I couldn't buy items, so I had to depend on only what I picked up. Seems like it'd be really tough. Oh, and it was a Wonderlock too. That might have had something to do with it. I don't know, but yeah, it seemed tough, but for some reason I only had like, I don't know, 3 deaths. I had a really good team. There are ways to get around things. It's clever. I really like that, but yeah, I don't think it's possible on every game. I think there's just enough stuff around X and Y that make it easier to do, but I wouldn't say it was easy. I don't know if it's tougher or not, but it was the only other thing I could think of other than the original Twitter X Wedlocke in 2014 that this is based off of, actually. Alrighty, Died Alive with some 3s instead of E's. Thanks for answering my question last time. Something I was wondering, would you accept a challenge made up on a straw poll thingy by community, like we are setting the rules of the next challenge, Wedlocke, no items, monotype, etc., or will you always keep these to yourself? So actually, how this kind of works, I don't do this for any of my main series because, I don't know, I like to really try to give it some thought as to what would be good, rather than just having a whole bunch of people vote, because even though that may seem kind of democratic, like, the problem is, it might not result in the best quality video series. Like, if it's just something that, like, you know, everything just doesn't line up with it, it's hard to explain, but there are some challenges that work better for video series, there are some challenges that work better for streaming. This is actually something that I do for any of my Sleep Block streams that I do over on Twitch for Patreon rewards. So my patrons that support me over there, after I hit certain milestones of money raised every month, well, you know, like monthly amount raised, which is really awesome. It's crazy where I'm at right now. You guys rock. But my patrons, they get to vote on the rules for the respective sleep blocks after I reach that goal. So, they're really in charge for voting on, what kind of extra rules and stuff to add. And it isn't actually through straw poll, but it is through a kind of poll-based system that I set up for them. So it's really awesome. Great incentive to become a patron, because if we ever do make it to, I think it's $1,500 per month, which is amazing, by the way. But after we hit that point, I'll be doing a Diamond or Pearl sleep block over on Twitch. So that could definitely be something interesting to watch. And, of course, patrons will have the option to vote on all sorts of different, rules and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And as for if I would consider a Pokemon Bank randomizer cheating, well, I really don't know. It's totally up to you if that's something you want to do. I'm personally not going to be doing that, but if you want to, go for it. Okay, Josh Stellis. Hopefully I got that right. My apologies if the J is a hard J, I guess. I hope I'm not too late, but I've got a question that might be seen as too personal to some, so if you're uncomfortable answering it, I understand. Are you religious? If so, what religion do you practice? If not, were you raised religious, or do you have any close family members that are religious? So, I know that religion can be kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people, and again, I hope people don't think any less of me or any more of me, actually, for that matter, but I'm personally agnostic. It means I don't believe in any specific religion, but it also means that I don't believe that every religion is wrong, or there is no God, or there is no higher power, or anything like that. I'm just kind of impartial. I don't necessarily believe that one religion is any more right or any more wrong than the others. I think that they're all, or at least they all have the potential to be plausible. So I don't necessarily affiliate with any specific religion, but I also don't necessarily think that there is no higher power. I kind of do think there is. I think there's so many different coincidences that just can't be explained with science alone. So I kind of think there's got to be something else. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. And as for my family, no, my parents weren't religious, but their parents were. So I guess my grandparents, they were rather religious, especially my grandmother on my father's side. She definitely was. And I'd go to church every now and then for a lot of the religious holidays and stuff. I didn't personally care for it. I felt kind of like a fish out of water, but I know it meant a lot to her, so I figured that was good. And of course, my view is, hey, I have nothing against people that believe in religion. I think it's great to believe in something and to have faith. I think that's awesome. I guess the only time I have a problem with religion is if it's used to incite violence, or if it's used to, discriminate against people. Like, there are so many people that practice religion and follow religion that are totally cool with people who are of a different religion. Their friends, their neighbors, whatever. That's great. Like, I think if more people are like that, religion would be a lot less of a problem. But I know that, it's kind of one of those things in religion, you want to try to spread it. I just think if people show respect, regardless of which religion you are a part of, or, of course, if you don't follow any religion in specific, or you don't believe in religion, just have respect for either the people that do or the people that have a different religion or point of view. Alrighty, Ben Gutteridge asks, is there a reason you don't actively advertise your Patreon on YouTube videos? I know a lot of content creators like to advertise their Patreons on videos, partly just to let their audience know what it is if they haven't heard of it. Well, so that's a good question. I do have a Patreon account, and it is definitely thriving. It's amazing what a great community is on Patreon, or on my Patreon, really. It's awesome. I have Minecraft servers set up for different tier levels. I do a countdown for top 25 favorite Pokemon, and a whole bunch of other different features. We have like a Discord server and stuff, which is a lot of fun. Why don't I advertise these things? Well, a lot of it's just based on what kind of series I'm doing. So for some of my series before the Wedlocke, I'd always have a little card thing that popped up, kind of advertising it, but not like in your face about it. And for the Wedlocke, I haven't been doing this because it was kind of meant as a thank you. Well, not like a direct thank you, but it was in part due to them, I guess, and due to their support for the sleep blocks and stuff, I decided to go back and do that. So I figured, you know what? I don't really need to advertise this. I don't want it to be obnoxious to people. I guess I still feel kind of weirded out over the thought of asking people for money. I know that I'm providing a way for people to give back. The people that support me on Patreon, I choose to believe they're doing it because they want to say thanks, because they want to show their support, not just because they're getting stuff. And I of course need it. It's not super desperate, super dire, and I don't really want to just get rich off of it. So I don't really want it to come across as me just asking for money, I guess. But I should do more. Usually when I do videos like maybe Pixelmon, I'll bring that. It's been kind of complicated trying to get a new version of that together. That's why it hasn't been around. But things like that, which are very Patreon related, I do, I'll advertise it more because people get a chance to see exactly what it is, and it kind of makes more sense than me just asking for money at the beginning or the end of any episode. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Alrighty, and lastly, we have Frozen Excalibur. Have you ever shiny hunted? Well, sort of. My favorite way of shiny hunting is actually hatching eggs. I definitely prefer that because I feel like I have finer control over, the individual values or IVs of the Pokemon and their moves and stuff like that. I feel like I can get a much better Pokemon than just running around using like the Poke Radar or chaining or, any other sort of method. I have nothing against people that do that. I just personally find egg hatching to be my favorite way of doing that. In fact, oftentimes I will stream hatching eggs over on Twitch. I haven't done it as much lately, I do apologize, but that is something that I do. I hatched a shiny Buizel not too long ago, actually I guess it has been a while ago, and I'm currently going for a Cyndaquil, but I haven't gotten it yet. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed these questions and answers. If you did, well, feel free to ask some yourself. Again, this is just an unlisted video. I don't know if I'll have any training sessions or if I will answer questions in the future, but this would be a good place to ask them, just in case I might decide to do this again. But again, I won't be replying to your questions that are left here. I will only answer them in the video, so give that some thought. If it's a question you think would be better, just post it on the main video, because I'll be replying in comments to that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.